Are you ready to get your shit together? Isn't that what we are all truly trying to do? In this fun, life hack full show, we will learn together how to navigate this roller coaster called life. We, as glorious messy humans, can sit in the proverbial third car, grumpy and bored, or in the front of the roller coaster having the time of our lives. What do you choose? In this show, you can expect meaningful content and practical takeaway tools to make life easier and exceptionally more joyful. There will be epic guests who already love their lives, allowing them to share their get your shit together tips and words of wisdom. Life is too long and too short to not love your life. Welcome to Get Your Shit Together Live with Amy Joy. Hello, welcome to Get Your Shit Together Live with Amy Joy, and I'm your host, Amy Joy. Happy Thursday, glorious messy humans. And just so you know, I am speaking to myself as well. Here at Get Your Shit Together, we get into the glorious and we get into the messy, and it's amazing. It's amazing to learn and grow together. It's a life hack full show of little nuggets of truths that can help us have even more joy and even more freedom in our lives. It's a beautiful show today. I'm very excited to have Larry Michel with us. He is the founder of the Institute of Genetic Energetics. He is a guru in this area of life, and it has changed my life personally, and I wanted to bring it to you so that we can understand our genetic energetics and how it relates to how we relate to ourselves and the people that we love around us. So stay tuned for that, and stay tuned to the end for mantra magic and the meditation at the end with the activation. Super excited to share that with you. We'll see you soon here. Thank you for being here. And right now it is time for Change Your State, Elevate. All right, got all tongue-tied there. All right, so this is the part of the show where we change our state and we change our frequency from wherever we're at to just as high as we can go, and that changes how we feel and how we feel about our day, our week, our month, our year. Our life matters. And so here's a little tip on how you can breathe that will actually align the nervous system. Sometimes our nervous system is messed up and we're in fight or flight often. And this will help you get back into calm. So what we're going to do is we're going to breathe in 4 beats. We're going to hold for 8 beats. And then we're going to exhale for 6 beats. I'm going to count it for you, so don't worry, but take a seat, get comfortable wherever you are, or standing, doesn't matter, but just take a second to do this. So you're going to breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and exhale through your mouth, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And with a big breath in, hold at the top and exhale. And see how you feel there. Those on Facebook that can interact, I'd love to hear from you, how you're feeling now. And it's good to measure. It's good to come in and check in with yourself and see where you're at, and then notice the difference. This creates awareness, and the more aware we can be, the better life is. So it is time now to get our shit together. Beautiful. And I'm going to go ahead and introduce our guest of the week right now as well, because he has the whole show today. This is a very in-depth conversation, and I wanted to give him all the time he could so that you could have the benefit of that. So excited to have Larry Michel with us. He is the AKA, the Love Shepherd. He is the founder of the Institute of Genetic Energetics, and he is a relationship restoration coach, speaker, producer, and author. Steward for a revolutionary science which delivers an understanding of the impact and expanse of our energetic relationships, helping people break free of stories and to experience all the benefits of courageous intimacy. Want to know more about that? Put your hands together for the amazing Larry Michel.
Oh my gosh, what an intro.
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome. So excited to have you here.
I'm so glad to be here. I really am.
Yay. Well, thank you. Thank you for saying yes. And tell us, what I want you to do is connect with the audience for just a minute. I didn't warn you about this, but you can handle it. And just tell them what you need to know. Give them some foundation of who is Larry Michel.
Oh gosh. Okay. Right from the start, right? So it's got to be the Reader's Digest version, right? I'm a grown-up adult now, at least I like to think so, that acts like a child as much as possible. But when I was young, I grew up in an environment where everything was required. Respect was required, love was required, chores were required, everything was required. It was like I didn't have an opportunity to really discover who I was because I was too busy having to be what was expected of me. And this was true since I was a little kid. It's how my parents were raised. And so I don't fault them at all for that. I definitely learned responsibility, but I also retaliated heavily. And the one thing that I didn't grow up with was a kind of a sense of feeling love and admiration and adoration expressed in and around my family. It was like that was supposedly a given, but I really wanted to know what it was. And I constantly was looking for it, seeking it very strongly and not finding it, at least not in my home. And so I looked elsewhere. And in that process of looking elsewhere, I had some really phenomenal experiences and I had some huge, huge challenges. Probably the the most important experience that happened when I was 14 years, not even, yeah, I was 14 years old. I, in my very shy way, asked a lifeguard if I could go out on a date with her. Thinking, I mean, I literally, the whole story would just crack you up because it would make a hilarious movie. But when I asked her, she said, sure, but you have to read a couple books first. And I went, oh, books, really? And she sent me to Maxwell Maltz, Psycho-Cybernetics, and Siddhartha. Those were the two books at 14 that I was told to read. I didn't know what either of them were, and I dove into both of them, and they changed my life. So much so that I never went back to the lifeguard to take her up on the opportunity to go on a date. And if I could find her today, I would thank her, because it literally was a most pivotal change. It put me in a place of being responsible for my own happiness. And it put me in a place of finding calm when I thought everything else was radically crazy and chaotic. And it put me in a place where from that day forward, the human experience, like what we're experiencing inside, and how we find success and how we find joy, that became a lifelong quest, and still is today. I'm constantly a student of the human condition. But if I look back through everything I've done, and I've had so many different occupations over the years, everything, that thread has woven through it. And it took me to the introduction, to the meeting of the person that holds the science that I now hold today. That's genetic energetics, which again was a huge, huge change. But along that way, I got to be partners with Tony Robbins and Bob Proctor and a number of different people and projects that I was so grateful and so lucky to be surrounded by giants in their field. And I always saw myself as a little bit smaller, right? There was this need to make myself small so I could fit in. And even that was something I had to work through and discover. And so it's life to me, the idea of discovery, the idea of finding things that I can improve. I'm going to use the word courageous intimacy more than once on this program, and just because I believe we need intimacy in our life, not just romantic intimacy, but intimacy with ourselves, with our friends, with our family, with our beloveds, with our children, with the people we work with. That ability to be seen fully, allow ourselves to be seen. And then we need to be courageous about it, which means the willingness to discover that what we thought was right maybe is not so right. And when things are really bumpy and hard and difficult, that's really an invitation to go in, to charge in, discover, what is this blockade? What is this? Because there is always on the other side an emergence, an evolution for us. And so I grew up from kind of a fearful kid looking for love to one now that I'm probably ridiculously courageous, if you can be. It's what I aspire to be. And like I said, even this show, if I get nervous, I know this information, but the feeling of nervous means it's really important. It's really important. And so I love that.
Beautiful. Thank you. So tell us, what is genetic energetics and how does it help people?
Oh, gosh. Okay. And we have how long for this show? So genetic energetics is truly the oldest system for understanding how we engage and how we choose people to engage with that exists for mankind. And why it goes back to the beginning of man is that for as long as we have lived, energetic frequencies have been something as humans we give off. We have a vibration. And it turns out that vibration is very identifiable, but it has influenced who we've decided to be friends with, who we've decided to engage with, who we decided to go out hunting with. You know, if we go back to as far as we can follow human history, we all have always made decisions who we want to embrace, who we want to experience our deepest, most treasured, most privately held experiences with. We made those decisions. We still today make those decisions with our friends, with who we want to work with. And we are at influence by the energetics of all those people around us. So we vibrate. Each of us has our own unique vibration. And everyone else that we encounter has their vibration. And we are either in harmonic space with them, or the energy is discordant. And it creates all kinds of scenarios. But what it does more than anything else is it frees us up from all kinds of debilitating stories. So, and by stories, I'm not talking about like a story you read in a book. I'm talking about belief systems, stories that we create that drive, or beliefs that drive stories that influence our behavior. So if we have a story that a person that we get together with, every time we get together with them, they just drain us of our energy. We have a tendency to call them something that's not very nice. We might call them an energy vampire, right? We've all experienced that. And the reality is there is no such thing as an energy vampire. It's a term made up to try and describe scenarios that people have not understood. But in reality, it's two energetic frequencies that are colliding. And the result is one or the other gets tired or loses focus. And we've all had this. Like we go to meet someone, we're really excited to see them. And then before we're kind of looking around, we're distracted, yawning. And we don't know why. I mean, we had our coffee, we had a good night's sleep, we worked out in the morning, there's no reason for that. And we spend that time with this person, then we leave and we call a good friend, and all of a sudden our energy's back and we conclude, oh, it was an energy vampire, right? and they just don't exist. But what does exist is those two energetic frequencies. So
what are those two that you're talking about?
So that has to do with communication style. There's two different ways that we communicate. So genetic energetics, what it's done, by the way, is it's created 4 lifestyle traits. And for each lifestyle trait, there's 2 variations. It's the only system in the world that can identify chemistry, why you're having it, and who you can expect to have it with, and what to do about it. And we all love chemistry. It's great. But the lifestyle traits, the first one is called communication style. And there's 2 styles. There's structural talking style and there's figurative. I'm structural. So I'm using my words to mean exactly what I want to say. And if you ask me a question, Amy, I'm going to answer what I think you asked me, right? Based on the words you use. Now, there is that. So I'm literal. I'm very literal. And I, that my frequency vibrates at a certain level. Now, the other communication style is called figurative. And a figurative person, yes, Amy's figurative. And I love this woman because we get to play with this all the time. But the figurative person is very emotive. Now, they might pick their words. I mean, words could be important to them. You'd be a songwriter. You could be an architect. You could be an engineer where words are important. You could be like an IP attorney, very important use of words. But if your figurative talking style, what's most important to you, what conveys your communication is a sense of is an emotion you feel, right? So if I want to say to Amy, let's say, God, I really love you. You're a very special person to me. And that sounds pretty freaking dry to the figurative person. And I may say that in a conversation, and I really want her to have heard that because I would not have used those words unless they're important to me, unless I really know that's the truth. But she might not have heard it at all, right? Because she didn't hear any emotion. So she's waiting for me to say something that is conveying emotion. But if I went, oh my God, I love you so much. I mean, my heart's just beating out of my chest with love. Oh my gosh, she's going to hear that.
Now I believe you.
Now she believes me. The other one, it was like, what, just words? I just hear that.
It gets us confused. We're like, what? I don't get it.
It does.
How can you say that without emotion?
It's exactly. So now what Amy just said is so brilliant because that's what goes on when a figurative person's head there's going, well, do I believe that? Do they really mean it? Or I say something and I'm conveying things and she doesn't hear an emotion. So what does she have to do? She has to build the emotion into it. Like she's going to project an emotion into it. Now she might be really good at that. She might know me well enough to know how to do that. But if she doesn't, she can project an emotion into it that I'm not experiencing at all. Like she could project fear because maybe the way I said it had words attached to it that she knows from her past were fearful, right? And in my mind, I might not have any fear at all. I could be courageous, right? But she's going, oh, you wouldn't have said that like that. I wonder what he really means.
Well, we have an example. The other day we were communicating and you answered sure. And I'm like, sure. Like, what the heck is sure? That's so non-committal. Like, what do you mean? Is that a heck yes or a heck no? I don't understand.
And for me, by the way, I wouldn't say sure unless it meant yes, right?
Yeah, but
So
I don't take Sures. Sures,
yeah,
no,
so yeah, she probably thinks sure is the name of a microphone. Why is he saying that?
they're good ones actually.
So it's a great example. And on my side, by the way, I could be asking Amy, by the way, we're having dinner tonight. When can you be here? And she may return, she may have in her mind exactly where, when, and how. And she says, oh, I can be there in a little bit. And I go, and I'm in my head, I'm going, a bit? Is a bit like 5 minutes? Is it an hour? Maybe that's tomorrow. I don't know for sure, right? So between the two of us, if we're communicating and I say sure, it's like she's got to go, sure what? What does sure mean? Are you trying to sell me a microphone or do you not care? And then I would come back, oh, I'm sorry. Yes, hell yes. Of course I want to do that, right?
Right.
And if she says a bit, I'm thinking about when dinner is going to be ready, I'm going to go, and we have other friends arriving and we go, so can you tell me a little more, specifically when that might be? And then she could turn around, well, you know what? I'm just pulling out of my driveway now. And in her mind, she knows how long that's going to take. I still don't know because she could be pulling out of her driveway and making 3 stops on the way there. I have a friend who does that all the time. Dinner's at 7, they show up at 9. And so I've seen that happen. So
Yeah.
it's up to me to get clarity. And then
Yes.
why is all this important? Because communication is one of the most essential things in our life, in our relationships, especially with those people we care about, people that we want to influence or people who want to influence us. And if we're miscommunicating, then in place of that, we make up stories. They don't listen to me. They're not paying attention. They must not care, right? All of these pieces. And none of those may be true. It could be just 2 different communication styles.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing is that does it take some extra work to communicate with someone that communicates differently than us? Hell yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
And is it worth it? For the right people, you better believe it. Everyone shows up in our life for a reason and a purpose. Always, always. And it's important to discover what that is. And if we create a story and just brush them off because it's difficult, we miss the real reason why someone's shown up in our life. That to me is a travesty. Doesn't have to happen.
No, I want everyone to take a minute right now. I feel like we're supposed to stop for a second and I want you to take inventory. I want you to look at your life right now. Who in your life or in your past has this been the issue, the main issue? And just think if you had understanding about it, how that could have maybe changed things and how even in this moment you have the ability to change things with this new understanding. So just take a second just to notice so that we don't lose it. We don't lose this opportunity because this is a huge deal. This could save divorces. This can save parent-child relationships. This is so important. My heart is just like so passionate to get this out there so that we can get the help that we need because we don't understand and we make assumptions and then we make an ass out of you and me, right? That's
yeah. Take even a second, if I may, to there's a few things that really will destroy relationships quickly. One is resentment. The other is blame and shame. And just think for a second, when was the last time you were upset or resented someone for their behavior? And you kind of like held it inside, or you shamed yourself or blamed someone for their behavior. And all of those things are stories. Most of them come from a misunderstanding or a lack of awareness about something that's happening to us. And in this case, I'm looking at just this little field. Genetic energetics has a huge influence on every one of us, but it's not the only influence. It's just one of them. But what it invites us to do more than anything is instead of shame and blame and guilt and resentment and judgment, to take a moment to look deeper and acknowledge and honor and respect and embrace and accommodate and love each other and ourselves for sure. Right. Yeah. And wow, what a difference that is.
Right. And to understand that me being figurative isn't better than structural and structural isn't better than being figurative. But what do we do as humans, glorious, messy humans? We tend to think that our way is better. And we judge and look down upon people that aren't like us, which is the global problem on all areas, by the way. We are more the same than we are different. Anyways, I'm getting on a tangent. But the point is we can understand with understanding. There's this phrase, I brought it up many times. I'll bring it up more. Understanding replaces forgiveness in the mind of the master. That means we don't have to forgive all these instances where we made up stories and meaning about somebody not paying attention. They were probably just structural or they were something else, right? They were just different than you.
Thank you for clearing that one up.
I'm learning I have a lot of structural people in my life. And so this is very fresh and real for me right now. And it's yes, this matters. This matters. So go ahead. So what's
and it's an opportunity for us to stretch too. We have a tendency to invite people into our lives that are like us. I mean, because it's easy and it's fun. But I tell you, when I'm around figurative people, like I never ever heard the word before gush. Like just gush, right? Or I'm in my feels, right? Those are two expressions that kind of come from more figurative people. And when I heard them, it was like, ooh, I want to gush. I need to do that. I need to do more of that. I need others like, I'll stand in front of the mirror and just smile and go, okay, just be in your emotion. Because I so enjoy the experience of that with other people that it makes me think, wow, I got kind of a stick in the mud. Like I get in front of the mirror, I look at myself and when I'm serious and I go, you look mad. you look upset about something. And I'm going, but I'm not. and so it's like I'm working on bringing more levity into my life, and it helps to me to be around figurative people, because it's like if you want to find a great smile that's just naturally there instantly, oh my god, hello. Look at Amy Joy.
The other important thing to realize is if we're in a world where half of the world is structural and the other half is figurative, then doesn't it behoove us to learn the language of the other half?
You think?
Right?
Yeah.
Doesn't it like hello? So now I will be texting or speaking and I get really vague and I'm gushing, right? And then I'm like, back up, and I get more specific. Right? Okay, it's going to happen here on this date. It can't be confused. And I go back and I fix it because I'm talking to a structural person. I'm going to confuse the shit out of them if I don't do that. So I'm trying to be more aware so that I can speak their language. Have you ever been at a table where people know a different language and then they start talking without you? Like, that's not cool. So we need to learn the language so that we can speak to them, the other half, in a beautiful way, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And not in a frustrated way, because that's what happens. Frustration.
And texting, by the way,
to a structural person, not good.
It's like, well, first of all, if you know the Val survey, we know that communication is only 7% words.
Right.
The other percentages are our body languages and our tonality. So only 7% words. So that means if you're texting someone, even if you speak the same language, there's a 93% chance that you're not going to understand each other. Those are not good odds, right? And now if there's two different communication styles and you could be speaking two different styles, so now you're down to a 3.5% chance. So that's 96.5% chance that you're going to fail in what you're trying to communicate.
Yep.
Whoa. Now that's kind of frightening, which means like texting is fine. I'll be there at 6. The appointment's at 2:30. Yes or no? Sure doesn't work.
Not for me.
And it just like bloop, just popped out for me. Now I know to be like more cautious with words that like. So, and this is just communication style. This is one of the 4 lifestyle traits.
All right. What's the next one? We could talk about this for hours. I know.
Can. So the next one's called activity level. And there are people that are moderate active and people that are super active. Now, Amy and I are both moderate active. So this is the speed we normally talk, but there's people listening to us who rather that I talk this fast, say everything I have to say, tell you everything there is to know about this, and do it in the next 15 minutes. And if I keep going at this speed, it's great. And they're probably right now going, why haven't you done this all the time? Because you could have got all this information out instead of making me wait. Right? So now that's not my normal speed. If I know I'm in a room with people that are super active, I know I need to speed up like that or I'm going to bore them. And it's not so much bore them as much as they already know what I'm going to say before I'm done. Anybody that's super active that's listening to this right now, you'll know if you're super active because you are really just being nice, letting the rest of us finish our sentences, right? You pretty much know what we're going to say. And you kind of teach yourselves not to interrupt because sometimes you get surprised. But this same person, this super active person, runs their life at high speed. They like to have it planned from the time their head comes off the pillow in the morning until it goes back on their pillow at night. They like to have structure in their day. They like to have it planned. And if it's not there, it's almost like their bodies go, ooh, I don't feel good. It just doesn't feel right to them. During COVID, this was the group of people that were most massively experiencing depression because their life got stopped, right? Everything they were doing got stopped. And we did a lot of work in that area because when depression sets in, some people want to go immediately to drugs, antidepressants. I can't even go there. It's down a whole nother road, right? Yeah. But
what's the common label that super active people get labeled? Because I want to address that.
ADD or ADHD, all the time, all the time. One of my best friends who talks, and my daughter, by the way, is super active. She talks faster. I can't even understand her sometimes. It's like listening to an audio on 3x speed. That's my daughter. Yeah. But she hears it. She's clear, right? So I have to say, please slow down for me. And she'll slow down to like 2x. But what happens is that when a therapist or a doctor sees this person and they observe them, especially a moderate active physician, or psychiatrist or psychologist, they're seeing someone that's super active, always doing things, doesn't look like they can ever rest. And so they think they're ADD. It's absolutely not true. It's the most misdiagnosed thing that I can think of. And it's hugely damaging.
Hugely. That label is the worst. If we had understanding about this, like it's such a gift to be super active and it's a gift to be moderate. They're both perfect in their design, and again, one's not better than the other. Right?
Moderate active people if we can go like a bat out of hell. I mean, we can just be focused and moving and not stopping for hours if we're on task.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as the task is over, it's like, okay, yeah, it's like we can sit back and relax and not need to know what we're doing next. So the super active person basically at the end of one task moves into a next one and moves into a next one. And by the way, that if that's sounding horrible to people, it's not, because they may decide that, look, at 2:00 every day I meditate for an hour. And at sunset, I go for a walk on the beach, or I spend time putting my feet in the sand and just enjoying the water. Right?
It's not that it's always active. It's that they know what they're doing next.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's how they structure things, right? And that super active person is like that. But for those that aren't that way, they're going, well, can't you just like chill? Can you relax? And it's the wrong question to ask, right?
Do super active people tend to be structural as well, or is that separate?
No. Totally separate. No.
But if you have a structural super active, that means extra structural?
So you have in communication style, right, is structural or figurative. If they're if they're super active, they're going to be faster. The next thing that really speeds them up is sexual response type. So when we get to that, there is a sexual response type called mental emotional, where all our sexual energy is available to us all the time, right? It's on the surface. And so we have all this extra energy. We really don't need sleep unless we've really worked really hard. But for that person, and there's an example, my daughter's a perfect example. She's figurative, super active, mental, emotional, sexual response type, and she talks 6 times faster than I'm talking right now. And she understands all of it. That's the crazy part.
Wow. Okay, so just hang tight, guys. We're going to give you a way for you to check your own birth date and get your report. Okay, so Larry has that for you today, which is amazing. So the next one, so we have communication, we have speed,
activity level.
Activity,
right? And then the next one is called financial logic.
Okay.
And financial logic is really simple. There's a group of people called conservative. I'm that. We have an awareness about money all the time, and we can not manipulate. We can work with money easily, understand it. You can give me a spreadsheet. I might not like doing spreadsheets, but I can do them. It's not going to be a burden. It's easy. But I'm always aware of money all the time. Where the non-conservative financial logic person, we call them a rainmaker. And they are. And every time I interview people that are non-conservative financial logic, and by the way, when I first learned about this system, I spent 2 years trying to break it. I interviewed over 1,000 couples looking to find it at fault. And it was never wrong, not in 2 years, not with 1,000 people. And the thing that just blew me away, because I'm conservative financial logic, I'm aware of money. And I would say, so have you ever like worried about being broke or being out of money? And 90% of the time or more, people would go, nah, not really. Not really. And I went, so, okay, let me run this scenario by you. So it's the end of the month, you're out of money and there's no food in your refrigerator. Your rent is due tomorrow. And your friend calls you up and says, let's go to a landmark forum thing. And you go, well, what's that? And you go, oh, just come with me. And they go and you enroll in a $5,000 program. You don't have any money. And then you come home and you go to sleep and you wake up in the morning and there's a knock on the door and someone's left you a check for $10,000. It just happens. It's like, whoa, how does that happen?
This is for non-conservative.
It just shows up. So for the conservative financial logic person, what I realized, for us to bring in abundance, we have to stop counting the dollars.
Wow.
We really have to focus on the benefit of what we're providing has to other people. If I work with a client, it's not just working with them. The impact for them has an impact on their family and their children and the people they work with. And in its own way, it starts to kind of, it filters out and changes the world when I'm focused on that contribution and not how much they paid me per hour. They line up at my door. But if I'm counting, that I might as well lock up. Now, if you take two people that are together or partners in a project, like if you're in business or even a romantic partnership, and one is non-conservative financial logic and the other is conservative, who does the books? The conservative financial logic person, for sure, because the other one really doesn't want to. Can they do it? Sure, we're smart enough. Do they want to do it?
This is me. I am conservative, and a spreadsheet literally freaks me out. I can't. I'm like, give it to me in another form. I can't look at it. I don't get it. So yeah, I get it.
What she's saying is really important here, because I could step in and say, hey, Amy, okay, let me do the books for you, right? I'm happy to do it. It's easy. You'd be going, are you serious? Why would anybody why would anybody offer that? It's like, I'd be in debt to you forever. And you go, no, yes. Really, it's easy. Just let me do it, right? But if money's tight and I step in and go, hey, we're really tight on money right now, that's the wrong approach, because that's not what she needs to hear. Right? She doesn't need me saying we only have X dollars in the bank. She needs me saying, hey, how can we produce something? How can we create something more? And not putting a spreadsheet in front of her, because it's just like, it's like sticking your finger in a socket. It's not going to work.
No, it was really, it just happened literally 2 days ago. And I literally short circuited. I was talking to my VA and I was like, I can't. I'm sorry. I can't do this. I know that you're structural and this makes total sense to you. But I do not. And I was aware of my reaction and my visceral, it was intense. And I'm
and people make themselves really wrong for that, right? And I would say, if I knew you were in that, I would have said, you should have called me. Would have stepped in for a second and helped out. Would have taken me 2 seconds, right? But in my head, it's not screwing me up.
Okay. What it made me want to do is go do it myself in my way that doesn't require all of that in front. No, they can't. And so this is important. If you're like me and you're relating to this, you're like, oh, this is why. There's nothing wrong. It's just the way you are.
Yeah, I have couples, Amy, that when I look at their profiles, at their charts, right, and they're both non-conservative financial logic, and I say, who does the books? And they'll kind of go, well, she does it one month and I do it the next month. And I said, I have a better suggestion for you. Go hire a bookkeeper. Just go hire a bookkeeper. And they kind of look at each other and go, can we do that? And I went, of course you can do that. Make sure they're conservative financial logic so you know you can rely on them. But yeah, you can do it. And think how much more fun you can have with the extra time you have to be with each other and laugh and play and create and do whatever else you want to do. And they kind of go, wow, this is a good idea. But they don't think about it.
So we have 4 minutes. So the next one, I know this goes fast. Sexual.
The next one is called sexual response type. And really, this is the biggie, because 95% of relationships that are mismatched in this area, at least with our statistics, don't survive. And they don't survive if they're not aware of the difference and they don't know how to accommodate for it. So awareness is one, knowing how to accommodate for the difference is two. But the difference is massive, and it also speaks directly to all those people that want to tell us men approach sex like this and women approach sex like that. And the reality is it's 50-50 men and women. And very specifically, there is this belief that men all source sex from, where, right? They get excited and that's what it's about. And then when they get satisfied there, then they go to their head and their heart. Not true. Half the men out there source from their head and their heart. And if they're not there, they can't even go anyplace else, right? Just like a lot of women. 50% of women source from their core as well. When they're hot, they're hot. And it doesn't mean that that person that we call a physical sexual response type person doesn't enjoy romance and candles and all the lovely things that we can do to adore and to appreciate our partners, but they don't need it like a mental emotional sexual response type person does, whose sexual energy is on the surface. And that one brings in a whole nother world of experiences, because our mental emotional sexual response type people, especially women from a very young age, get misunderstood all the time. All they have to do is show interest in someone, and the other person feels their sexual energy because it is all on the surface, and they assume that the woman is flirting with them or wants sex. And it happens and it happens and it happens, and there's no stopping it, because the other person is picking up on that sexual energy. And we are curious people. We're seekers. We need to be seekers in our life, right? And so the invitation here for the mental emotional woman that's been misunderstood so often, just know that that's not someone that necessarily is trying to put you into someone who's sexually provocative, because that's what they're experiencing. It's not yours. And you can just acknowledge that that's what they saw, and know that it's not about it's their misunderstanding, right? And there's a huge piece around that, and we could spend an hour just talking about how sexual energy is so misunderstood and so misused in appropriate ways, in so many ways, for both men and women. It's a powerful area to go down, and it's transformational when you see it.
Yep, absolutely. There are modifiers as well. I mean, we need way more time for this, but I want everyone to have the way. Go to the4answers.com and you give them the instructions, Larry, real quick.
Okay, so when you get there, do we have a way of putting a link in the actual link to the page in the replay on it? We can do it later.
Okay, yeah, I'll put it in the show notes.
So when you get to the 4answers.com, very quickly, you go to the products tab. And on the products tab, the second thing down says personal energetic profile. Click on that. It's going to ask you to create a login, because it's a highly secure system. Once you create a login and you get this OTP, it's going to come back and say, all right, run a report. Run a report on yourself. And you'll get this back, and you're going to get what we kind of call it's a 5-page long report. It's a 50,000 foot view, but it's going to tell you what you are energetically. And that in itself is really huge. You can go back and run reports on other people if you want. They're all a gift from us, for sure. And but do yourself first. It's only going to ask you for two pieces of information. It's going to ask you for your birth date, and it's going to ask you for the birth date of your opposite gender biological parent. For Amy, it's her biological father. For me, it's my biological mother. Now, that piece is to compute what we call attractions, which is chemistry. If you don't have that information, run the profile anyhow. And run the profile anyhow, even if you don't have it right now, because you can go back and run it again later, right? So I just invite you to do this and enjoy it. And you can contact us, send messages to the Four Answers, to me, Larry M at the Four Answers, and we will respond.
Yes.
We've reached over 3 million people, and we're not stopping ever.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Larry. This has been so great. Let us know if you want to hear more on this subject, and run your own report, get awareness, run some of your loved ones so you can know and understand them better. This is amazing. Thank you, Larry. We'll have you on at the end. All right. It's now time for Mantra Magic. All right. Mantra Magic is the time where we get a new song in our head, a new loop, a new positive loop, instead of the often negative one that we have running. And here is your mantra. It's on Fridays. You can find it on Instagram at Amy Joy Coaching. So if you want to listen to it again and get it stuck in your head, it can help a lot with your day. So here it is. Mantra Magic. I'm here with Marie Ishtali, and here is your mantra for the week.
3 words encompass the truth of life and the universe. 3 words encompass the truth of life and the universe. Say it with me.
Make today glorious. All right. It is now time for meditation moment. This is the part of the show where we take 5 minutes to get present. We take 5 minutes to come home to this moment. So grab a seat, grab the kids, grab the grandkids, grab everybody around you. It's 5 minutes. 5 minutes. I'm going to lead you and guide you. Let it be weird and wonderful if this is your first time. All right. I'm going to play some beautiful music from the amazing Gary Malkin. He's a 7-time Emmy winner, and he's graciously given us this. All right. Take a deep breath in. Hold at the top and exhale. Take another deep breath in. Now I want you to observe, how are you feeling right now? Are you feeling crappy or are you feeling happy? Don't make one right or wrong, good or bad, either one. Just notice and become aware. And breathe. And now I want you to observe what thoughts are running through your head right now. Are they thoughts of the past? Are they more thoughts of the future? Or are they thoughts of right here and now? Again, don't make it right or wrong, good or bad. Just notice. I want you to visualize a candle burning right in front of your eyes. Notice the reds, the yellows, the golds, the whites. And then slowly slide that candle right into the middle of your head and watch it flicker there. With a deep breath in, I want you to think about one thing that you're grateful for. One thing you're so grateful for, it makes you smile. Your hands on your heart. Think about that one thing. While you're in this expanded place, I'm going to send you an energetic activation. It's sent with so much love. It's called a Diksha. It was initiated by my spiritual teachers in India to do this. All you have to do is set the intention to receive. With a deep breath in, smile, and exhale. Come back. Wiggle your hands and your toes. Beautiful. Well done. Well done. Well done. All right. I'm going to bring Larry back on here. So good. How was that for you? There's the love shepherd. Nice.
Hello.
How was that for you?
That meditation. So good.
Yeah.
So good.
How do you feel after that?
It's so settling, and it just takes me deep into my heart, and everything shines pretty brightly from there.
Especially with those colored glasses on. Well, tell me, I always like to ask my guests this. If you were on a mountain and you had the whole world's attention and they were actually paying attention and you could only share one thing, what would you share?
So this quote isn't mine, but it's what was coming to mind. Knew this question was coming, so I put on these glasses. The past is history. The future is a mystery. And all there really is this precious, precious present. And this is where love exists. It's the only place that it truly exists. It's our life force. We're never, ever without it.
Say it again, please.
Glasses on or glasses off? The past is history. The future is a mystery. All we have is this very precious present. It's where love exists. It's the only place where love exists. It's our very life force, and we're never, ever, ever without it.
It's true. We're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
Ever.
No.
I love that. Love that so much. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to get the banner up here again for everyone. Go to the4answers.com, go to the products, and then down to the personal
energetic profile.
Okay, personal energetic profile. And you just have to put your birth date in there, and you and your opposite sex's parent birth date in there if you want the full report. And it will spit out in seconds exactly who you are energetically, and it will make so much sense. when I first read it, I was like, how does it know? So obviously it's on point, period, is the truth. And so I bring it to you with love. Larry brings it to you with love. Please use it. Please become aware. Please become aware, and then do something with that awareness, which is all that we can ever do, I think, is become aware and then do something about it. So thank you for we're out of time.
Embrace our similarities and our differences. Embrace them all. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes, yes. All right. Thank you, everyone, for spending your very precious time with Larry and I today. Remember that together we vibrate higher, and that, my friends, changes the world. We'll see you next week. Besos. Mwah. Thank you for watching Get Your Shit Together live with Amy Joy. If you'd like to follow us, you can on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Amy Joy Coaching. Appreciate so much your likes, comments, and shares. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, please reach out. We'll see you next time.